you know, the Congress hasn't helped us much at all. I mean, the president takes some of these prerogatives on his own, but the Congress could stop the wars. They could just defund the wars and they'd have to come home. They don't do it. But what about the bill that they passed last December and sent to the president? He signed it on January 1st as well, and that's the National Defense Authorization Act. Here's a bill that repeals posse comitatus. It says the military, for the first time in our history, can arrest any American citizens for infractions for civil laws. And the worst part about it, it says that it can hold an American citizen indefinitely in a secret prison without a trial, without an attorney. That is not part of the America that I have come to understand. I don't believe we'll survive unless we deal with this whole concept of assassinations and Patriot Act and arresting people by a U.S. military and no trials. Repeal of habeas corpus, essentially that. We are known now more for a country that promotes assassinations and invasions and occupation. But what about this whole principle that's been around for about 10 years now? And it's shared. Unfortunately, they talk about more bipartisanship. But I see the bipartisanship doing the wrong things too often. I mean, it's been bipartisan support of the Federal Reserve that is our problem. But on foreign policy, you get a lot of bipartisan support. And there's bipartisan support for this concept of preemptive war. That's a fancy term for starting the war. That's a fancy term for aggression. We're to defend our country, but to start the wars because somebody might get a weapon someday, it makes no sense whatsoever. You know, statistically, I'll bet you could find, and I've seen stories about this, the large majority, if not almost everybody in Iran, does not want to have a war. You know, they don't want to be attacked and they don't want to be bombed. I'll bet you their leaders don't even want to. But there's tough political talk. Then there's tough political talk on our side, why we have to go over that. But do the people want the war? No, the people don't want the war. It's the governments that want the wars. And this is the reason that we have to speak out. And unfortunately, if things don't change, it will end. The foreign policy will end, but it's going to end in real tragedy because this country will be bankrupt and we won't be able to afford it. That's how great nations usually are brought down. That's how the Soviet system was brought down. Fortunately, we didn't have to fight a nuclear war with the Soviets. But that system came down mainly because of the bankruptcy. And we're truly on the verge of that because the spending is endless. But the attack on our liberties are endless too. You take another war that's been going on since the early 1970s. We spent between $3 and $4 trillion on an ill-advised war. One that it permits our government to invade thousands and thousands of our homes looking for people who might be using illegal substances. The war on drugs should be declared a loss, a failure, hasn't done any good, and we should abandon it. I don't know why those on the more liberal side and more conservative side shouldn't come together on this issue, because conservatives a lot of time talk about states' rights, and that's supposed to be a bad term now, politically incorrect to say states' rights, but that's what the Constitution says. The rights and the privileges are reserved for